You guys always see me in the garage building my trucks, so how about a little exploring in them? I grew up with this desert in my backyard. This is the same dirt that I learned to off-road. Got stuck, broke stuff, figured it out. So when Onyx Off-Road asked me to create a rugged adventure route, I knew these trails would make for an epic trip in the Tacomas, and ultimately, a journey I could tangibly share with you all. So I'm bringing you all back to my beginnings.
We have just a few weeks left of desert season and I'm trying to squeeze the most I can out of it. So we're doing 3 days, 2 nights in the California desert. I don't know why I just clapped, but I'm really hyped. Welcome to my rugged adventure.
I mapped a 160-mile loop through some of the best terrain in Southern California. Remote washes, ancient fossil shell beds, ghost towns, and I'm not doing it alone. Because we brought
not just one, but 2 Toyota Tacomas.
That's right, I added another Toyota Tacoma to the fleet. I know you all are gonna come for me in the comments, so more on that in a second. But for now, 3 days, 2 nights, and maybe a bit of drama from the truck I didn't expect.
Something's up, right?
So you all know I picked up a brand new turnkey 2024 Tacoma last year. It's a TRD off-road with all the bells and whistles, recently upgraded Icon suspension, and bigger 285 size tires. But now, meet Peter, a 2002 first-gen Tacoma with 200,000 miles and quite some character.
It's sort of a long story, but a tree fell on this truck, so yeah, the body kind of looks a little rough around the edges, a little bit more like a crunchy taco, but kind of characteristic of these old Toyota pickup trucks. No matter how hard you or nature tries to kill them, they just seem to never die. So yeah, she runs perfectly, although before this trip, I did change all of her fluids. I changed both of her axles because the boots were torn. I slapped on some all-terrain tires, wrapped around these new Method 708 wheels. These are looking really, really great. I'm actually really glad I have this truck for this trip because it's going to make me feel better taking it up some of the more difficult sections first before I take, my new 2024 Tacoma through them, kind of pre-run it in this truck.
You mean your pavement princess?
Not for long.
That snarky comment came from Kenny, one of my good friends and former driving instructors who's accompanying us for safety.
Straight now.
The friends we encountered.
You guys are saving the day, literally. We would have f***ed our car up.
And to keep me humble with his thoughtful commentary about me and my so-called pavement princess.
Jed's here.
Whatever.
He gets the pleasure of driving the 22-year-old truck for most of the trip, while I'm sticking with said pavement princess. All jokes aside, this trip isn't a random route. We're following the actual rugged adventure I mapped with Onyx Off-Road. If you've got the app, you can download the entire thing. Waypoints, camping spots, optional obstacles, it's all there for you guys. We don't gatekeep here on my channel. I'm going to show you all the secret spots to explore and tell you which parts of the trail to be careful on and everything in between in this video. And with that, let's get started on our big journey.
Good rule of thumb, whenever you're in the desert, it's a good idea to get gas when you can, even though gas here was $5.34 for 87, even with my 5-cent Chevron discount, but still a good idea. Don't want to run out of gas. We're starting out 100 feet below sea level in Salton City. Now this place is really, really interesting. Back in its heyday in like the 50s or 60s, this was kind of like a celebrity hotspot. Like I'm pretty sure like people like Frank Sinatra used to vacation out here. But today, because of all the farm runoff and evaporation that caused a lot of toxicity in the air, it's kind of this eerie, very interesting place. Nonetheless, you could still see there is a city out here. Kind of a cool place. I am a sucker for ghost towns and things like that. On that note, we are going to start our journey and head to the Ocotillo Wells State Recreational Vehicle Area.
Our marked trailhead in Salton City puts you on a dirt road adjacent to the highway, leading you into a wash that you can take into Ocotillo Wells.
All right, we barely just started and we already got Peter stuck. There we go. I'll take the bypass instead.
There are some big washes and gotcha spots right out of the gate here, so just get through the section slowly. It had just rained days prior, making it a little more rutted out for us than usual, but nothing the Tacomas can't handle.
Just getting started and already an adventure.
Alright, we're gonna be in this wash for about 9 or 10 miles until we hit the pumpkin patch.
Sweet.
Also, just trying to treat it like a highway, stay on the right side because you never know who's gonna come around the corner.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dust out because of the rain, so it's hard to see when people are coming around.
Even more reason to be very cautious.
We're starting around noontime, so there's not too many shadows, or it's hard to tell where some of the holes are sometimes. That's where it can get kind of tricky in the desert. Oh, finally bringing in my suspension and my new tires. Feels good.
Before heading to our first waypoint, I'd highly recommend stopping somewhere in Ocotillo Wells to air your tires down for the entirety of this rugged adventure. Otherwise, it'll be a pretty rough ride.
Oh yeah, I'm at like 36. It wasn't not feeling very comfortable. I like these manual gauges because they're the most accurate. Oh, that would not be good. Did you hear that?
Oh, leaving the valve cracked?
Yeah. I always learn valve stem caps when I'm airing down. Put on top, that way I don't lose them. I have a really bad habit of losing valve stem caps. I don't want to lose these ones because these are like the TRD ones.
I'm going down to about 16 PSI on both trucks. That's a good mix of comfort, extra traction, and safety.
Cool.
Also for safety, I installed 2 light whips in beater. These are buggy whips, and they make our vehicles easier to spot, but also are super bright at night, which helps at camp. With both trucks ready, we're taking on a mix of washboard roads and some slower, minor technical sections towards the first waypoint I've mapped, the pumpkin patch.
Gonna follow his line. Kind of cheated. Used the cameras to make sure I wasn't gonna hit anything. Go fast, nice and smooth over these washboard roads. The Icon suspension feels so much better than the stock suspension. I'm so glad I got a new suspension system right before this trip, and bigger tires help a lot, of course, but the stock suspension was like so soft. This is much more appropriate for this. I see pumpkins. We've made it to our first stop, the pumpkin patch, which is a very, should I say, interesting place to be. Obviously it's named pumpkin patch because it looks like a bunch of pumpkins just like put in a field. Yeah, very interesting, eerie looking site, kind of out of place in the desert, like, you know, a bunch of little alien eggs or something.
I might sound crazy, but these geologic phenomena are actually naturally formed when layers of sediment build up around a nucleus like a pebble or a shell. Still feels like they're gonna hatch any second though. This is definitely a must check out because there's nothing quite like it out here in the desert, and also there's picnic tables and restrooms here if needed.
Well, that was so cool. Ran into a couple visitors checking out the pumpkin patch too. It's a neat little spot, but genuinely I thought like the wind was going to knock me over. It is so windy today. All right, on to the next spot.
A hop, skip, and jump away from the pumpkin patch is one of my favorite attractions of the Ocotillo Wells Park, Shell Reef. To get there is about a 5-mile drive from Pumpkin Patch Trail to Shell Reef Expressway. It's a pretty tame drive in the sand, and you can't miss it as you get closer. This is a waypoint I think you have to stop by because of the killer views of both the park and crazies doing burnouts. And you could also try your hand at driving up it.
It doesn't like look bad from here.
No, it doesn't, and then like it doesn't look that bad, but I know because I've been up here before, like once you get up, it's way more slanted than it looks and slippery. Yeah, they don't look scary, but then once you start going up, it's like, oh.
More commitment.
Send it.
Don't worry about that.
She hit the mud flap.
It's not even much. It's the rear fender.
Naturally, I took Beater up here first, and I just went around that little section, but I tried to get a little more ambitious my second time up. I mean, it's really steep, so the Tacomas can only go so far, but a lot of it is also how good of a driver you are. But even in the first gen, I didn't get super far up. And my fourth gen made it up too, but through a less steep section. These bypasses exist if you want to get up here, but baby your truck like me.
The fourth gen was like, you're parked on a steep slope, park on a flat road, please.
Every spot from up here, you are not going to be disappointed by the views. But the best view at Shell Reef, in my opinion, is at the top, which the Tacomas can't make it up. I mean, I barely made it up here on foot without almost eating dirt a few times. I feel like this just shows you how steep and soft Shell Reef truly is, but it's totally worth it. And yes, I did eventually take the new truck up the more fun way.
You guys can use my hair as like a, is it called an altimeter? Or like, you know, the wind?
The wind speed?
Yeah, I forget what that's called. That's probably way off, but it's very windy.
It is most certainly not called an altimeter, that's for altitude, duh. The term I was looking for is called an anemometer. Anyways, Shell Reef is a classic, and there's other really cool spots in Ocotillo Wells, but since we've got so much more ground to cover today, we are going to head out of the park and drive about 40 miles south to Plaster City, where we'll camp. We do end up coming back through the park on day 3, so there is more time to see Ocotillo Wells if you're following the same route and are interested.
Are you getting hungry at all?
I'm hungry to get to camp.
Well, turns out he was right. I was a little hungry for food.
I'm like normally very anti-eating in the car, especially my own car. Well, other people's cars too, because, you know, respect. But when you're driving all day, it's hard to stop and eat, especially when you're trying to get on the move. So I'm allowing myself to eat string cheese. I don't know. When I was a kid, it would be like a sin to eat string cheese like this, but it's the perfect snack, not super messy. It's not fast food, so it won't make the car smell like fry oil, which I think is the biggest thing. But yeah, let's head to camp.
You'll drive eastbound on the 78 for a wee bit until you get to the Anza trailhead on the 191. Now this is a lot of dirt driving, especially after a day of wheeling at Ocotillo Wells, so you could take the highway, which is a longer distance but obviously faster, down to Plaster City, to the next waypoint or one of the campsites, but I'm about that dirt life, so we stayed on our route, which rewarded us with the infamous train bridge. Now, I'm a sucker for planes, trains, and trucks, so I love this kind of stuff, and I was like a kid in Disneyland when a USG train actually passed over us. How could anybody not think this is cool?
So I would say this is the first area where the trail gets tight, not actually like tight, but tight in terms of brush and stuff. Definitely be cognizant. The one trick I learned is to always just use your driver's side as reference and get as close as possible without pinstriping your driver's side, because it's so much harder to see your passenger side. So that way you have like a reference. I'm sure if you looked at my 2019 Tacoma under a microscope, you would see all the pinstripies on the passenger side.
Anyway, the terrain doesn't get too aggressive here. I mean, this whole route was designed with a stock Tacoma or two in mind.
A lot of you guys asked me how I got interested in trucks and Tacomas specifically, of course, and off-roading in general. And honestly, I have to say, I feel like I was pretty lucky. In late high school, I was exposed to a lot of desert driving, more so with like UTVs and stuff, but I also have friends that had Tacomas. I never had one myself in high school. I always wanted one. I always asked my mom, I begged her when I turned 16 and got my license to buy me a second-gen Tacoma in 2015, and she always said no. She said it'll feel so much better if you buy your first car yourself, which it did. That was my 2019 Tacoma. Worked junior, senior year of college to pay for that truck, and it was very rewarding. She was right. Moms are always right. But before that, I kind of just grew up coming out here and driving friends and family's vehicles. And there's just something about this, like driving in the open desert where all you can see for miles and miles on end, besides, you know, UTVs and other trucks going brap, 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 it's just like sand and what used to be the seabed. I don't know, there's something very calming about it to me. And it's just really fun to drive your truck off-road because there's like the challenge component of it. Your brain has to always be actively thinking about what line to take, what spots to avoid. It's like kind of gamified, if that makes any sense. And there's something cool just knowing that your daily driver can do stuff like this and get you places that, I don't know, you otherwise wouldn't be able to see. Gotta go really slow through all these washes. There's a lot of whoops and ruts and hills that I can't see the other side of, so I'm relying on the camera. I think it's even more fun too if you like to be in the garage working on your vehicles. You guys know a huge component of my YouTube channel is building my trucks. I feel like every video is just me in the garage doing stuff to it, getting maintenance items done to it, fixing whatever I broke off-road, or, you know, anything that comes up. And I will take my truck to a shop or mechanic when it needs to go and it just doesn't make sense for me to DIY something in the garage, but kind of like the component of building my truck at home, because then when you get on the trails, you can really understand how you are able to drive it. I know some of you guys do, but many of us don't have these crazy built up trucks. We just kind of have these, you know, OEM plus or full stock vehicles that we want to just take out on the weekends to escape from work, or just find cool places to take our friends and families out to. This state and this country have so much to offer, and you can get to a lot of these cool places in a stock Tacoma. But yeah, we built this route not to be super technical or super challenging, but with just a lot of cool spots to see, a lot of my favorite places growing up, and of course there's still lots of technical off-road driving. I feel like right now where we are, we're almost on like a race course or something, because there's like a lot of ruts and stuff. I don't know. But anyways, we made this route for you guys to explore and experience, and of course you don't have to follow it exactly. You can go as mild or wild as you want. I can say at least in Agatia Wells alone, that park, you could spend multiple days out there doing more technical stuff. But I made this trip with a lot of different waypoints that really reflect why I love going off-road with my truck, why I bought it in the first place, why I like touching dirt on the weekends. Because because I just want to share that experience with you. And I think what's cool is that watching videos really helps to build a sense of community. At least that's what I just love about YouTube so much. But this route with Onyx Off-Road, I'm so grateful because it allows me to bring you guys a tangible experience. So I hope if you do go on this route, you will enjoy it. Everything that the SoCal desert has to offer. Pretty sure what we're looking at is Plaster City out there.
USG, the same company whose train we saw earlier, has a giant gypsum plaster plant here, and you'll pass it as you reach the 8 highway. Now at this moment, I thought our day was coming to a close and it was time to chill. We were near our camp spot, wrapping up day 1 of our rugged adventure. But the trail always finds a way to humble you. As soon as I got on the highway, I could tell something was off in the 4th gen. Even though the road was straight, my steering wheel was definitely not. See how it's cocked a few degrees to the right? My alignment was off by a lot more than what it should have been.
He's driving my truck right now to see what the alignment issue is. Something's up, right?
It's sort of hard to tell here on camera, but with the steering wheel centered and just looking straight on at the truck, it was clear that the driver's side tire was visibly towed out. It's kind of wild how quickly your mood can shift out here. It wasn't really concern, but more so confusion turned to frustration about how a day of relatively mild wheeling could affect something this badly on the truck.
So, since we're close to the camp spot, we're gonna head there. And then maybe figure out what to do. Kinda sucks.
Turn the wheel straight. What? Go forward and keep it straight. Stop. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but that left side tire is definitely towed out.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, we can get a wrench on it and fix it, and I think we'd be fine.
The alignment?
Yeah.
I haven't taken a look under there, but did you see like a tie rod bent or anything? I didn't notice any leakage.
I don't know how it gets out of alignment either.
I've never seen, that's not even the hardest I've ever driven. This is like one of the first times I've driven, well, it's the longest time I've driven this truck off-road, and I didn't expect it to get so out of alignment. I mean, the first gen did the exact same things. I picked the exact same lines as you. So I don't know, like I must have hit one section that, I don't know, I didn't really realize was as hard. And it's hard to tell when you're on the trail whether your alignment's that off, because we weren't going straight for that long, and there's washes and there's ruts and there's whoops. So, you know, it could have happened earlier in the day and I just didn't realize. But I mean,
yeah, once you get going on the dirt too, and you start getting complacent and you understand what the car can do, you get a little bit overconfident, and you might have hit something a little bit too hard, and the steering didn't like it.
I don't know. It's so weird. At least it's beautiful out here. Onwards and upwards.
As great as today's adventure was, it honestly sucked to end the day like this, because I just wanted my truck to drive normally, especially being so early on in the trip. But seeing it was nighttime and we were basically at camp already, we decided to just try to deal with it in the morning. We found a really cool camp spot that lightened up the mood though, especially with the help of the buggy whips. But all that kind of went away when the wind started inviting itself in.
We resorted to boiling our water where there's less wind. The wind is absolutely insane, so I have resorted to eating inside of the first gen. I feel really wrong for doing this because, again, I do not like eating in the car, but it really is so much nicer in here. As much as I was hoping to wake up and not have the alignment issue, a full night of sleep and coffee the size of my face gave me enough motivation to try to improve it. I basically just wanted my truck driving as straight as possible for the rest of the trip since we still had nearly 100 miles of off-road driving left on our journey. So we drove to some more flat ground and got to work. All right, hopefully in my tool roll, Boxo deck tool roll, I have a crescent wrench somewhere. Oh, it's my spark plug wrench. Bought about 5 of these this year because I just kept not being able to find them. But lo and behold, one's over here. That toe, it's on that front tire. It's hard to tell on camera. I don't know if we're able to show it, but you could definitely see with the steering wheel straight, the front driver tire is towed out a little bit. I don't know, is that positive toe or I've never done my own alignment. Ooh, nice, adjustable wrench. Thank God, thank God.
By my own eye, more than you would want on the street.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the shops do when they do your alignment because they always give you a paper back.
Yeah.
I forgot what the numbers are in there, but from the racing world, it's typically measured in inches toe out.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna get an alignment, like a legit alignment after this whole trip because we still got a lot of miles to cover. After this trail repair, when we get back on the, I think we have like 10-ish miles, right? Would you say? Probably to get back to the street, 8 to 10 miles. So this will just get us through that so that at least the tire's a little bit more aligned. And then when we get back on the street and get gas and everything, we'll check and see visually. Obviously we don't have an alignment rack, but we'll just check to see how close or far off we are and maybe make some more adjustments there before we finish the rest of the trip. Gonna also get the Pro Eagle jack to take a little weight off the tire. Okay. Okay. So since the toe angle seemed like it was off, I'm just adjusting the tie rods to correct that out. Basically just loosening the jam nut and turning the threaded portion. You might be able to see my tire ever so slightly correct its toe as we're adjusting. Now, after some closer investigation back home, I noticed something interesting. My front driver's side cam tab had bent, probably from a hard hit on the trip. That caused the cam washer to shift, which threw off my toe angle. I'll probably have to cut off the bent cam tabs and weld new ones on to fix it right. I actually had a few friends recommend these things called taco tabs to prevent the cam bolts from shifting so much, and it's something I'll look into. But for now, on the trail, I just quick fixed this toe with this tie rod adjustment and we were ready to roll again. On to the next waypoint on our route. I used the share feature on my Onyx Offroad app, which is really nice so that everyone in the group has the day's route, and we made our way to the fossil shell bed. Now, I was always the kid who dug up my parents' backyard looking for dinosaur bones, so this spot was a treat. This oyster shell bed has thousands of petrified fossil shells that are remnants of a time when the entire area was underwater. This plant looks so interesting. It looks like a real undersea plant. Crazy to think these are 6 million years old. That was really cool. I'm in much higher spirits now because I mean, we're on the trail, but I feel like my truck drives more straight, at least compared to before. It's noticeably better, although we've only gone like a mile or so on the dirt. But feet, that fossil shell bed was really cool. I actually saw a little imprint of a shell. So, neat little spot.
As you continue driving west in the Utah desert, the mountains as far as the eye can see are breathtaking. It makes me feel like we're these two little ants crawling in a giant sandbox, which this drone shot makes it kind of look like that's the case. And the next waypoint is the Utah Well.
So back in like 1773, 1774, the Spanish Empire was looking for a route from the Sonora Desert to California, a land route, because that would be way more efficient than by ship, of course. And they made this well. So Anza was the explorer, and potentially this was a really good watering spot, maybe water from the Colorado River. I don't know, I feel like I'm spewing a lot of history on this trip. I definitely need to fact check myself while I'm editing this video. But another really cool historical landmark. It's just crazy to think, like, back then, like, all this land was completely unexplored. And then here we are today, 2025. You know, we've got our 2 trucks with AC and waters in the back from earlier today because we have a cooler full of ice. We got JBL speakers, Onyx Offroad on our phone for navigation. It's just like, it's crazy. It's the Utah Well. The second Anza expedition passed here on December 11th, 1775. It's crazy. All this land again was unexplored.
There's just something fascinating about thinking about the back then versus now. It's wild how fast we've innovated, but also how much we still rely on the same resources: water, shade, and a good route. Anyways, the mysteries of the desert continue as we pass by the Utah geoglyphs, massive ground carvings made by indigenous people hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago. They're best seen from air, so having my drone was clutch, and we did make sure to not fly too low to disturb the patterns, but even on the ground, you can spot outlines if you know what to look for. No one exactly knows what these are for, which just makes them even cooler. Soon after that, we found ourselves back on the 8, and there is a chevron. Again, good rule of thumb is to just fill up even if it hurts. And 2 ridiculous things happened here at this gas station. You're witnessing one. I re-eyeballed my alignment.
Are you serious? You guys doing an adjustment on your alignment?
And gas was $5.99. You tell me which is worse. Our next venture, following the Sugarloaf train tracks into Devil's Canyon.
This is really cool. We're like along the train tracks. There are those windmills near the highway. A lot to see out here.
And I'd argue this is one of the most fun drives of the whole trip.
A lot of little gotcha rocks over there. For all these rocks, I'll either straddle them if I know my diff can clear them, or I'll put the tread of my tire on them. That's the number one thing, like when you're learning off-road, you will quickly learn from ripping a sidewall that the sidewall is the most vulnerable part of a tire. Also on this route, there are a lot of washes, so while it is really fun to go faster over these baby whoops and washboardy type roads, anytime you hit a wash, and I'm saying this to my former self over here, definitely take it slow, or else you can very easily take out your front bumper. Know from experience.
And into Devil's Canyon we go. Now, despite its name, don't be scared, at least not in a Tacoma. You do run into this obstacle on our route though, which I would say, out of the whole rugged adventure route, this is probably the most challenging obstacle that you can't really bypass. It's still not too bad, especially with a spotter. Now, I think I could have hung a little more driver, but I underestimated how much room I actually had, which caused a minor bruise as I was coming down. It was just my trailer hitch and I was fine otherwise. and we found ourselves amongst more train remnants to explore. And we didn't see a ton of people, but we did see a lot of parked cars of all sorts of variety.
A lot of casual off-roaders out here, but also vehicles like you'd expect like hiking people to drive. Like Tesla, the little Chevy Bolt. It's just funny. Ooh, I see my favorite food. Can you spot it?
Pad Thai? Pad Thai?
Yeah, Pad Thai.
Artwork and train tracks, you know I had to stop.
We got a Tacoma coming behind us, 2nd gen. All we're missing is a 3rd gen.
As we made our way through Devil's Canyon to Hayden Springs to Montero Wash, I was happy the Tacomas came out unscathed and without more weird alignment surprises, as they shouldn't. This route is a lot of desert driving, but not enough to do any unexplained damage. Anyways, you'll pass by one of the best views in all of Anza Borrego State Park, the Carrizo Badlands. I mean, talk about a $1 million view, am I right? Now, arguably what's even cooler about this area is driving through Canyon Sin Nombre, since you're surrounded by tall sandy walls that mitigate the wind and feel cool in the evening. Driving through here means self-service is spotty if not non-existent, so have a game plan in case you end up like this RAV4 we encountered. They got hung up over some rocks, but that's what our Pro Eagle is here for. I guess it wasn't camera shy today.
You can need to like try to keep going because the just would have got worse.
Yeah. Well, thank God you were here.
You know, sometimes timing's everything.
Oh, 100%.
Y'all can move the rock.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you need me to get in there with you?
I think you guys are gonna have
the
to.
rock actually move?
Yeah, it will.
You gotta dig out the sand.
Chloe, go.
You gotta dig out the sand around it, probably. Damn, look at that thing.
I'm going. We got a shovel if we need, but
You do?
when this guy is like confident, I'm like, I'm not worried.
You guys are saving the day, literally. We would have f***ed our car up.
It's okay. Been there, done that.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's only one way to learn.
Nice. Look at that thing.
Were they stuck on that one too?
It was the same rock, but it was broken. Go apart.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Exhaust?
Just watch the exhaust clear.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Hey!
Toyota friends, gotta help out Toyota friends. Kidding. In all seriousness, I'm glad these guys were good, but it's a great reminder to always prepare for the worst. Without cell service here too, downloading offline maps from Onyx for this area beforehand really came in clutch because our navigation was still spot on. Inside this canyon, we had to include a waypoint to a really cool Palm Springs hike that's an easy 2-mile loop around a desert oasis. Doing a trail repair and mini recovery might have put us a little behind schedule and we just didn't want to hike in the dark, but we used my drone to check it out and I'll have to come back for this one.
So yes, it's getting dusky out as we're on the trailhead of the Palm Springs hike. So we figured we would scope it out with the drone instead of do it just because we don't want it to be pitch black when we're looking for our next campsite.
As night neared, we camped right near our next waypoint in a dispersed spot, which I am not going to play favorites for this trip, but this one was my favorite waypoint. Imagine waking up surrounded by this. To start my day right, I cranked up some M&M, as one should, made my cup of French press,
Oh, that's nice.
followed by dishwashing with my fancy Dometic water jug and faucet. And then we were off to exploring the next waypoint, the Arroyo Tapiado Mud Caves. One mini one was literally in our campsite.
Right over here near our camp spot, you get a preview of one of the mud caves. I wonder if it like runs all the way down here and out down there. Looks like it.
This area has one of the most extensive mud cave systems in the world. There's miles and miles to explore, and I've marked the main one on my Onyx route for you guys.
It did just rain here 2 days ago, so I think we're okay, but we're going to be very, very careful because obviously water changes terrain a lot and we don't want caves to collapse on us or anything.
Into the cave we go. Bring a flashlight or headlamp and some courage because it's pitch black and a little tight just a few feet in. And I can't stress enough, please use caution here. People have literally gone missing in this area because it can be hard to retrace your steps if you're walking in the pitch black. Many of the caves like this one go much, much further, but I stopped here because honestly that was enough adventure for me, especially after the rain again. Tell me though, would you guys go further?
How was that?
It was a little freaky. I don't know. I don't like dark, tight spaces, which obviously is what these are. It's like you turn the corner and you don't know, is it gonna open up more or is there gonna be someone around there or something feral back there? This light's really bright though.
The rigid flashlight? Yeah, that's a banger.
Yeah, like last night, we could see literally to the top of the canyon or these mud formations all the way up there.
Making it out alive means we get to head to our next waypoint, to Fish Creek via Diablo Drop-Off. Now, Day 3's route is fantastic if you've been itching for more technical off-roading because you'll encounter lots of rough desert terrain. Again, nothing the Tacomas can't do, and there's optional offshoots if you want more of a challenge. I decided to run up and down Diablo Drop-Off and beat her a few times.
Remember to hug that right side, and I got an eye on your wheel too, so you're good.
As how it usually is, the holes never look that big on camera, but you could see by the tire travel that there's a technical aspect to this for sure. Getting down a section like this is all about tire placement and brake control, and Beater took it like a champ.
It's okay if you slide. You're good. Perfect. Straighten out, straighten out.
Going up poses a little bit of a different challenge though. You have to keep your momentum up and pick a good line, which is easier said than done when you're looking over the hood.
Some holes.
Damn, have you done this before?
And this is a great spot to use your lockers and low range if you have it.
Like a f***ing champ.
Now, this is optional. You can completely skip it and take the bypass, which I did in the 4th gen since I'm a baby, but hey, looking back, I do regret not going down the drop-off in that truck. It would have been way more fun, and it's totally doable. The rest of the canyon into Fish Creek is a one-way with lots of fun, minor rocky obstacles.
Put your tires on the rock.
Yeah, there's just like a kind of a big rock on the left, so I stayed left of it.
And entering into Fish Creek, you'll be rewarded by driving through these amazing rock formations. One of the last stops we're making is to a trailhead for a little hike.
We just made it to the trailhead of the Split Mountain Wind Caves in Fish Creek.
It's a bit of an uphill walk, but I needed to get my steps in anyways. And also, the views, they were viewing.
Whoa, that looks like Luke Skywalker's house in like Star Wars. On like Tatooine.
Right?
You don't watch Star Wars, you don't know.
I've heard of Star Wars.
These are the Split Mountain Wind Caves.
Whoa, that is a cool overlook.
All of these whimsical nooks were formed by wind erosion over time, yet it almost looks intentional, like some postmodern art display. There's tons of shaded area, and my only regret was not bringing our lunch up here. We were the only ones here to my knowledge, and this would have been a great spot to spend more time at.
Nature's playground.
As promised from day one, we made our way back up the 78, returning to Ocotillo Wells. If you're not chasing sundown like we were, I'd recommend checking out the extensively mapped trails marked on Onyx Offroad. Some of my favorite spots here that we just didn't stop by on this trip include Blow Sand Hill and Devil's Slide. We're ending our rugged adventure in the neighboring town of Borrego Springs, so we took Pack Rat Wash to Palo Verde Wash up to the highway. Here, I hopped inside Beater again to get some more seat time in the first gen.
It was so funny, he just said, the fourth gen feels like a trophy truck compared to this. Oh, now I feel really bad.
Yes, she did feel like riding a pogo stick compared to the new truck, which made me feel really bad all this time for Kenny since he drove it 99% of the trip. But, you know, I have to say, Beater had zero issues through this 160-mile off-road route, and that's so impressive considering how old she is. I mean, she's rough around the edges and all, but seriously, unstoppable. Meanwhile, my 4th gen had another little mini mishap while we stopped to air back up.
Tailgate's been acting funny today. Just to give it a little yank.
I'm not sure why the tailgate got stuck. It's honestly been fine ever since this, and it didn't ever happen before. And despite this and the alignment issue from day one, the 4th gen was really such a treat on this trip. I don't think the alignment issue was inherently because of a design flaw, so I don't want to blame the truck. I really think it was because of that lower control arm torque. But all to say, I freaking love this truck. A lot of you ask me if I have regrets or I like my 3rd gen better. I mean, it's like asking, which is your favorite child? But this truck has truly treated me so well, and the 3rd gen isn't going anywhere, but I've decided this truck is going to be my desert build. This trip was proof enough to me that it's a great platform for that. Anyways, once we aired back up, using my DIY'd ARB compressor in a box, we drove up to my final waypoints in Borrego Springs, which will take you to one of the best art installations here in the desert.
We are ending our 3-day, 2-night desert rugged adventure here in Borrego Springs at some cool... Oh, sorry, I just heard howling in the background. But here at some cool artwork spots. So all over Borrego Springs, there are these animal sculptures, and I thought, well, this was not an animal sculpture, there's other sculptures too, but I thought this one right here is very fitting. Some people having a good time wheeling because that's what happened. All things considered, I think we had a very, very successful trip. Yes, the Tacoma, the 2024 had its little alignment moment, but for the most part, everything was good. I mean, the only tool we whipped out was a wrench, so not too bad. Well, I guess the jack too for that RAV4. Could have been a lot worse, but we had a ton of fun. I really hope you guys that are local to SoCal will check out the Rugged Adventure route if you're interested. We did put a lot of work into making something very cool for you guys. I hope the video reflected that. But yeah, these are mostly places I grew up going to, some new spots too, very scenic spots, and of course a lot of off-roading, which I know you guys love. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I am very curious. I'm going to get the first gen Align just so I could see the numbers, because again, I did all the exact same sections in it, so it'll be very interesting to see how far off alignment the 4th gen was off of the 1st. So you guys will have to stay tuned for a future video on that. I'm so ready to go home though after 2 nights of camping. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.